Yeah, let's keep the basketball talk rolling. Coach Phil Martelli, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a few minutes today.
Glad to be with you guys.
This is a fascinating time, and I am here with a Michigan man as a co-host who's very excited to be talking to you, separate from the fact that you're Phil Martelli from Philly, just because you're a Michigan guy. So I'll let him start.
So Coach, go blue. Before we start and talk about coaches versus cancer, which is what we really want to talk about with you, we have to know two things. One, did you find a good pizza place in Ann Arbor?
They can't hear me.
We got you.
We can hear you.
No, I'm talking about the vendors in Ann Arbor. I don't want anybody storming me.
We won't share with them. Don't worry.
Well, I found a terrific place. It's a restaurant, though. It's not a pizza place like we would know in Philadelphia. And the added attraction in this restaurant is they have a waiter who has been in Ann Arbor for 22 or 23 years, and he's known by everybody in the restaurant as Philly. He's from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, came here for school. He stayed here, and he's fanatical about the four major sports teams in Philadelphia. So I never go in there without getting him as my waiter, and all we ever talk about is Philadelphia sports, and their pizza is very good.
Without saying the name, you found the right place.
Yeah.
Second big question: who's the better dresser, you or Juwan Howard?
Well, I have nice stuff now, and the guy that I worked with in Philadelphia has been great to me for a long time. Juwan, because he's taller, he carries himself more in a model. No one has ever confused me with a male model, believe me.
Well, I'll leave Jeff's questions there. We did want to bring you on. We've been talking a lot with the coaches from Philly, Coaches versus Cancer. You and Fran Dunphy brought this to Philly 25 years ago. You currently serve on the Coaches versus Cancer Council today. How'd you get involved with this amazing effort that's grown to be what it is?
I don't know what year. It may have been my first year or second year, and I picked up the NCAA used to put out a newspaper. I don't know if it was once a week or once a month, and I was paging through it, and I saw the list of the top 100 schools, 100 programs that had donated monies to Coaches versus Cancer. At that time, it was through your three-point shooting. And I went through the list, and I went through it a second time, and I thought to myself, there's not one Philadelphia school on this list, yet we have the best college basketball in the whole country. As was most nights, it was in the off season, and Fran Dunphy and I were passing in the hallway at the Union League doing an event. And I said, did you see that? We have to do something. Now, I was always great about we have to do something, and then kind of like dropping a couple seeds, and then all these other people did remarkable work, including, and it cannot be overlooked at all, the people that have gone into their pockets over the years. They're the heroes. And I don't mean this in a smart aleck way. It's not the coaches. It's those backers, those donors, the people that participated in golf outings or breakfast or the galas. And then once we got involved, I'm very friendly with Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, and I saw that he led the country year after year after year in funds raised. And I said, you know what? We have to put an end to this. So that's when we started, and we really became an all-inclusive. So everybody in Philadelphia basketball was involved, from the 5th and 6th grade teams to the college teams. We got involved in basically a full academic year worth of programs, and really proud to say The amounts of money raised have been terrific, but I think the quality of life, even if it's for one day or 1 week, the quality of life that we've been able to impact for cancer patients and their families, their friends, their communities, that's what I'm proudest of. And I'm, obviously proud of the production that was on television and will be on television again on NBC Sports.
Philadelphia alone, since 1996, has raised over $17 million. We've talked to coaches from most of the schools over the last month, and there seems to be something about this city and something about the coaching fraternity here that brings out the best. What have you noticed about the coaching fraternity and the city as a whole when it comes to rising most when you need it?
Obviously, being a lifelong Philadelphian, I've always believed this, that when our back is to the wall, we do look out for each other. And I know that over time we've had moments of unrest and uncertainty, but you can always count on a Philadelphian when you're back to the wall, when you're painted into that proverbial corner. Philadelphia is going to stretch out a hand. And I've always believed that in every day, in all of our lives, every day, every single time we stretch out our hand, we're attempting to touch a heart. And that's really what has happened. Go back to Fred DeBona at Independence Blue Cross, the late Fred DeBona, and he said to us, "You're not going to do this a nickel at a time. You're really not going to do it $1 at a time, but you're going to have to go big, and you're going to have to be very engaged with the whole community, corporate Philadelphia, down to your grade schools." And his words proved to be prophetic. We have, it's certainly a badge of honor, and the same thing with the coaches. Look, there's no mystery about knocking heads with each other on recruiting, on marketing your program, on back when television wasn't as abundant as it is today, television. You really wanted that opportunity for your for your program and for the players. But when this cause, when it consolidated to say, you know what, this isn't going to be about Temple. It's not going to be about St. Joe's. It's not going to be about Villanova. It's going to be about Philadelphia basketball. Every single coach that has come through the doors has done yeoman's work. But I want to go back. It's the people that wrote the checks, that dropped $1 in a bucket somewhere along the line, bid on an item. They're the true heroes.
Well, in addition to the the money raised, it's the example you're setting for your student athletes. You look at the volunteer effort that they do at places like Hope Lodge. You helped bring Hope Lodge to Philly about 10 years ago. What does it mean to you that effort is there, and what does it mean to you to see these student athletes get the life experience by volunteering their time in these challenging settings that are outside the basketball court, but deal with the challenges of life?
Well, I would say that the players who have gone to Hope Lodge with their coaches, or the players that have volunteered their times, the high school players that have volunteered their times with the school initiative program, they've gotten more than they gave, and they gave a lot. They gave some of their time, they gave some of their talents, they gave some of their treasures, and they received, can't really describe the feeling that you have, but when you meet that family, when you meet that husband and wife who are maybe coming from out of state, and they look at you and they say thank you. It's a life lesson that I hope for every player that has gone through these programs, the high school program, the growing grade school programs, the college programs, for all of those programs, for all of those young people, what I hope is that they take it with them. So if you're a senior and you've gone to Hope Lodge, I hope when you're out in the real world that you go back to Hope Lodge, that maybe you take your church group or your community group or your high school team and go back, because you said it beautifully. Look, being perfectly honest, coaching the basketball part, there's a lot of people that can coach the basketball part. But it's our responsibility as coaches to make sure that we touch these young men and young ladies and make them a little bit better because they were in our presence.
Coach, one of the things that everybody we've talked to this week that knew you were going to come on the show talks not just about your coaching, but you as a citizen and what you give to you and what you teach these student athletes. We are in an unprecedented time with student athletes realizing their voice. What is it like for you as a coach to be able to help them discover their voice and to watch what they're doing with their voice in a positive way?
Well, I've always felt that coaching to me was really parental. And the parents out there know that when yes is the appropriate answer, that's what we should tell our young people. When no is the appropriate answer, that is what we should tell our young people. It doesn't mean that I love you less. It just means that at this moment in time, the right decision is either yes or no. And to see so many of these young people, as you said, capturing their voice and using their voice and lifting their voice. One, it takes them off of social media. It takes them off of these machines, and it absolutely positively engages them. They're learning life lessons, they're listening to life lessons, and they're sharing life lessons. It's chilling. It's chilling. It's somewhat not disappointing, but it's bothersome that this is what it took. This, whether it's social unrest, the pandemic, all that's going on with government, it took this really chaos to get our young people really connected. But the key is, and I've said this repeatedly, there's obviously a major movement in college basketball and college athletics to have all these young people vote. And I think it's spectacular when you see the numbers of young people that have absolutely sworn that they will vote in November. The key to this program and the key to the legacy of this program is, do they vote next year? And do they vote locally for commissioners, for judges? Do they educate themselves to be an informed voter next year? We're going to be led by the young, because every day we're charged with learning and every day we're charged with teaching. And it doesn't matter your age. And right now, to see that so many young people teaching is heartwarming.
It's clear talking to you, and like Jeff said, when we told people you were coming on, you're still beloved in Philadelphia. What do you cherish most about your time here?
Relationships, and relationships. I obviously treasure my family that are still in the Philadelphia area. I treasure coming back. And ironically, last year, the pandemic allowed me to be, home for 4 months when I might have been out recruiting and here and there, and only getting home for maybe a summer vacation. But that I treasure the fact that I could be pumping gas and the guy at the next pump over will look over and just say, "Hey, Phil, how you doing?" Or the unbelievable number of notes that I got not just from players and their families, but high school programs or grade school programs, when they'll say, I remember you stopped at our school and you said this, and all I wanted to do was to be able to touch one person a day. And that's what I really value and what I miss. You know, I love Ann Arbor. I love Michigan. It's not Philly. But when I'm done with basketball, then I come back to the condo that I'm renting. In Philly, I never went home. I was always trying to help one person. And if there's one person out there that helps one other person because of an interaction they had with me, then I'll put my head on the pillow this night and feel good.
Coach, we can't thank you enough for the time. Where can people give if they want to help your efforts and support Coaches versus Cancer?
I think if you just go online and you look up Philly Coaches versus Cancer, there's a way. Certainly, if they can catch the rebroadcast of the program, but you're talking to a novice with regard to the computer, even to this day. But I do know that Philly Coaches versus Cancer is on there, and there's certainly ways. And please, anybody out there that's pausing even for a second and saying, well, this is what and I get it. It's hard times for a lot of people. But you know what? The magic dollar, the dollar that's going to crush cancer, is in Philadelphia. And their dollar is every bit as important and valued and appreciated as the big six-figure checks that have been written by corporations in Philadelphia. We're going to do this. We're going to do this a dollar at a time because Philadelphia is special, and we will one day crush cancer.
Coach, we'll continue to put the information out on our accounts and try to keep raising awareness. We thank you so much for your time and everything that you've been doing, and continued health and safety.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And, you know, I had to get used to it, but after a year, I can be able to say this proudly. Go Blue.
All right.
You just made yesterday. I'm not going to hear the end of that for like the whole weekend. You realize that. Thanks so much, Coach. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Be safe, fellas.
Jeff, the legacy that these coaches leave in this city speaks to their integrity. You can hear how much he loves this city and the people here. His passion.
Yeah. And people who aren't from here don't really get it. I mean, I'm a North Jersey kid and transplanted down here. I think I get it after 3 decades, but people don't understand how much this city gives and how much the people in the city, the athletes in the city, the coaches, everybody in the city gives and is interested in helping each other out, even in times like this when you may not be able to give as much. And for people that didn't get a chance to see the broadcast, you can see the broadcast and you can go on to their website, which is www.phillycvc.org. Just think about it. I mean, these coaches are doing yeoman's work. Their players are doing yeoman's work. If you can go help out at Philly, at Hope Lodge, do it. Find a way to make a difference.
I'm really glad that we've done this series.
Mm-hmm.
It's we know what we have in this city, and it's great to hear them talk, but it's great to hear other people get an opportunity to understand what these teams are doing. It's more than just dribbling a ball on a court. And that comes through when you're talking to these coaches who teach young people how to be adults and enter life.
Look, we all want our teams to win. I went to Michigan at the time they won their last national championship. I would love to spend all hour talking to Coach Martelli about who they're recruiting and who's coming in and how great their season is. But that's not really what college sports is about. And that's what gets lost in all of this because of college football, mainly because so much money comes into it, is that for most of their kids going to college, and as somebody who has a freshman in college, I could already hear the difference in my own kid. And you see what these coaches do when they're molding young lives and helping them find their voice And that's what you're supposed to learn in college, regardless of what you do. But they are student athletes, students first, athletes second.
And look, that fits with what our show has always been about. It's been about the impact that sports can have on society and community and the lessons learned. And, there are no better examples than the interviews we've had over the last few weeks with these coaches talking about what they've done to raise awareness and raise funds and get their teams involved. And you heard the coach say it's not about Drexel or Penn or LaSalle or Villanova or Temple. It's about Philly for them. Mm-hmm. And that's
well, except when it comes to game day and it comes to recruiting, and that's part of it. It's finding a balance. Good.